Hey, this is JD Frost. Welcome to the Daily Ledger podcast. I have a very special guest today. It is Bridget Brick. Who I've learned is from Tennessee, but lives in Miami now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. And you're from Fayetteville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Do you publicly claim Fayetteville
Oh
that
yeah.
often?
I
Okay.
I mean but it seems like such a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, I mean, I loved my childhood. I love my upbringing. It's one of those very sheltered, shielded. You don't know what brand names are. I don't know. Just enjoy the the ease of life, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I love that. Here in your bio, it says Bridget has been working in the finance industry for a combined 7 years and specifically with investment property loans for the past 2 years in real estate, closing millions of dollars in real estate for her clients. And her passion behind her work is helping the everyday family escape the 40-hour work week and buy back their time and life by enabling them to invest in real estate or passive income, which is what almost every single client or every single investor talks about. So how did you get into the finance industry? I mean, starting out in Fayetteville, Tennessee, you said you traveled to California, and now in Miami. Tell me a little bit about your story in 75 seconds or less.
So I grew up in a super small town and I knew what I wanted to be or become. And so at university, I found a job that was in the finance industry. So it's basically a telemarketing job. We would call and get people to refinance from their adjustable rate mortgage to our fixed rate mortgages. And I was always number one. I was always at the top of the list and I became the manager of that group. And so for 4 years of my university experience, I worked solely in the finance industry. I moved to California after university. I worked in primary home loans for just under 2 years. And then I found myself back in this industry in 2021, coming out of, the world shut down. So I completely changed careers. I had a different career between that job after university and the one that I have now. And it was in the tech industry. So it's kind of like it came full circle for me to come back into this industry.
That's awesome. And when you're saying university, what university did you go to?
Tennessee, of course.
The University of Tennessee.
That's right.
Okay. I went to University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
I went to the big campus. So
Are you still a Vol fan?
yes, of course.
Okay. You know Rocky Top and the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, we have a ton of clients that think, getting into passive income activity is totally what they want to do. I think most people like the idea of passive income, but I don't really believe anything is truly passive. What's your experience with people in getting passive income?
Well, if you want it to be passive, you have to have the right operations in place, which this is what I did in the tech industry. And I also had 5 of my own businesses. So I understand operations very well. That's what I would do for tech startups. And if you have the right operations and you're willing to delegate, you're willing to trust, and you're willing to teach people how to do what it is that you need to do, it can be passive to a large degree. So say, for example, you're purchasing a home as a long-term rental, you would want to have a management company in place to manage that if you want it to be passive. You also want to have a maintenance team in place. And, if things come up, you want to have those automatic triggers that get pulled and that happen when certain things happen.
Yeah. I mean, I tell clients a lot, in order for it to truly be passive, I have always had better experience when I've partnered with somebody who actually does all the stuff. You're talking about management teams, you're talking about maintenance teams. That's exactly what I've recommended to clients too. It's if you want, but that requires you to give up part of the profit, right? Because those management companies, I mean, I don't know what do they charge? 5, 6, 7%, something like that.
It's more like 10 to 30, depending on what type of property. So
There you
long-term
go.
rental, 5 to 10. If you're doing short-term, 20 to 30.
Yeah, but it's totally worth it so that you don't have to be concerned with the day-to-day type of operations that are coming with it. Because buying a real estate property, I mean, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
It is you're forming an LLC. You've got operations going on in there, even if it's a duplex or a quadruplex. I mean, obviously that might be a little bit easier to manage, but it sure as hell isn't passive.
Right. Yeah. The thing about having real estate as a business is if you partner, you're able to give up some of the need of your time. So I like to explain it this way. You really only have two assets in life that you're ever spending on anything, and that's time or money. So if you're spending money, say to dine out, you're spending your money to save your time from cooking at home, cleaning up, whatever it is. But if you cook at home, you're saving your money and you're spending your time to do that, right? So
Right.
it's the same thing in what you just said. If you're giving up a little bit of your money because it buys back more time, well, then what could you do with your time in exchange for that? So for example, what I did with a couple of my businesses, I think I had 3 at this point, is I had the employees, I taught and trained the employees to think like me. I also paid them 1.5 times market rent or market price for their job.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted them to not want to lose their job. I wanted them to do a good job. I wanted them to be proud to come to work and excited. And I was able to step away and go take on a project with a foreign trade and enterprise office that was well into the 6 figures, that had multiple bonuses if we're hitting certain, certain KPIs. And that's how I was able to free up my time, but then go make so much more money with the time that I had freed up. So
Right.
you're really always thinking in that exchange.
Right, right. I mean, I really appreciate how you're talking about the difference between time and money there, and the exchange between the two. Time is our most valuable resource, even more than money, I believe. And I talk about a lot of this in my book, about how you spend your day, the time that you spend, what you do, the activities, the asset activities versus liability activities, will provide you the opportunity to learn how to be more financially free,
Right.
because the way you spend your time is going to be determined on how you spend your money as
Mhm.
well, and vice versa. And you just like explained it very well. I appreciate that. That's awesome. If you're listening, you need to back up a little bit and re-listen to what Bridget just said, because that is extremely, extremely insightful and very helpful. Thank you for that, Bridget. So one question I like to ask a lot of our guests on the Daily Ledger podcast is, what is your typical daily routine? What does that look
Cool.
like for Bridget?
So I have curated my life to be exactly the way I want it to be now. And it might sound unrelatable, but please do not think that this was overnight. This took
Oh no,
years to
that's
get to.
that's a disclaimer. Okay,
Okay.
what's coming?
Yeah, disclaimer.
Yeah.
I wake up without an alarm, and I have done that for probably a decade. And I
Wow,
choose
that's
to do that
amazing.
because I want my body to be in a natural state. I want to be healthy. I want to be in my most normal natural state. So I naturally wake up with the sunrise. And then when I do that, I immediately have lemon water because it cleans out your body's systems and, prepares you for the day, gets your metabolism going. Then I'll go on a walk for an hour. So it's about a 3-mile walk. Then I'll come back and either shower or do a few things. And then I'll open my emails to see what is it that needs my attention versus what is my team working on. And so again, I live this lifestyle because I have processes in place. I have a couple of virtual assistants who work remotely. I have a processing team who manages all of the little details once we get a loan into underwriting. And so I love interfacing with my clients directly. So I will talk with them. I will make sure I'm finding the right loan products for them. Those are the puzzle pieces and the things that I like to do during the day. So that's what I do in my workday. But when it comes to the admin and the details, my team is doing that. And that's really something I set up and I chose. And I used to be in very like work and go and force and achieve, I'm San Diego 40 under 40. And I realized stepping into this era of my life, I don't want that much energy towards, or that like go and, almost like stressed out energy. I had that and I don't want that anymore. So I have this set up exactly the way I like it. I have my nights free to go out with my friends to dinner. And so it's really just one of those very freedom lives. I have a lot of happiness. And so I know that I attribute that to the freedom of being able to live a lifestyle like this. And that's what makes me so passionate about wanting others to be able to have a lifestyle like mine.
Yeah, no, I love that. But I mean, how do you wake up when the sun comes up? Like, are there days when you sleep? Like, it's okay to be honest. Like, are there days when you just like sleep until 10 o'clock or 12 or something
My
like that?
body doesn't. Like, if I
That's
wanted to,
awesome.
if I have a dinner and we go somewhere after and we're just going, having a birthday party, we're going to go dancing, and I go home at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, I will automatically wake up at the same time every day. It's
Wow,
just,
that's awesome.
if I travel internationally, I don't have jet lag because my body just gets up with the sun and off we go. So it's
Yeah.
just, I think I trained myself to do that somehow, and that's just what it is.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, you have a passion to help people get into more of the passive
Mhm.
income area of life, and that is primarily through real estate, I assume. Is that
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yes.
But you still proactively put the systems in place and the processes in place. I mean, like, do you help when people get a loan through you? Do you also coach people as well on how to do all that?
So something I just added to my offer is something I learned, and I learned this again because I have a lot of free time. So I don't just use my free time to gallivant about the city. I
Yeah.
like to use my free time to make my services better. So
Mm,
something I'm
mm,
learning is one of the biggest barriers to entry with one of my loans is it only takes 3 things to qualify, but one of the 3 things is you need a 20% down payment. So the average American family, I recognize, does not have a 20% down payment oftentimes.
mm.
So some of the things that I'm learning and adding to what I offer is how to fix your credit score and how to set up business structure to where you can go borrow that 20% down payment in the form of a business loan, because my loans are also in the form of a business loan. So then you can take that money, you can use it as the down payment, and then you can have the loan from me. Now you want to make sure that your income of the property is going to now cover both loans, because in
Yeah.
order to qualify for my loan, the income of the property has to at least cover my loan,
Yep.
every aspect of it, taxes, insurance, everything. But if you're going to do that, you also need to cover the other loan as well, because you need to be cash flowing at least 1.0 or higher. So that's sort of part of the component. And then when they do a loan with me, I make sure that they know about a cost segregation study, which I know your firm does for its clients, and the
Hmm.
benefits of doing a cost segregation study with all of your real estate. So
Yeah.
it's kind of, we look at chess moves, we look at where we are in the short-term debt cycle of the market. So when you kind of know what the trigger points are, okay, this is the time to buy, this is the time to refinance, this is the time to do nothing, this is the time to, do the next thing. This is the time, if you bought at a high interest rate, now you want to refinance at this stage down the road. And so instead of it just being like, oh, cool, you did a loan with me, bye, great, thanks for the transaction, it's here's the whole process from A to Z. Here's what it looks like. Here's how I'm going to walk you through it. Here are the moves you need to make in the future.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Another question I love to ask people, and this is part of our 4 foundations of wealth creation, is defining wealth. So,
Hmm.
what does wealth mean to you?
Wealth is having the freedom of choice to where you can do what fulfills your mind and your soul. So what I do, when people ask me what I do, I like to say it like this. I like to say that I help the average everyday American escape the 9 to 5 matrix and have freedom of choice, freedom of time.
Mm,
How I do that is I put your money to work for you. What is it that I do? I provide investment property loans that are easy to qualify for, that don't look at income, W-2s, tax returns, or employment to qualify the loan. Instead, we're looking at the income of the property. And by the way, they don't report to your credit, so it's not counting against your personal debt to income ratio. So what I have is a tool that allows people to get where they want to be, which is that freedom of choice, freedom of time.
mm. That's powerful. That's awesome.
Mhm. That's why I
When
love what I do.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And you've been doing this the last 7 years. When you're helping clients, what's the most unique thing that you bring to the table, would you say?
It's more than a transaction. And I know a lot of people like to say that, but what a lot of people don't understand who are in this industry, because sure, you can do a loan with me or you can do a loan with the next person. The loans that I have are unique in that they don't look at a person's individual income to qualify. So if you are not going to qualify for a home purchase based on your income, normally you would think, oh, I just don't get to participate in the real estate game. My loans allow you to bypass that. Now you do need a higher percent of down payment, right? So that's the unique thing about my loans. I already found something unique in this industry because I like to stand out. And then the thing about me, so say you have my loans, you could do a loan with me like that, or a same type of loan with someone else. Why would you work with me? Because I like to explain the market cycle that we're in and what moves you need to make. So this isn't just a transaction. It is looking at all aspects of the cycle and what decisions you need to be making now versus in the future. So you come away from working with me with an education about, okay, regardless of what the news says, this is what I'm going to do. And this is the next move. And this is the next move.
So I'm not working with you, but tell us a little bit about what you think is happening in the market right now, and like,
Sure.
is what are we supposed to be doing over the next 60, 90 days?
So if I were to give you guys a map in your mind to think about the trigger points or the patterns, if you study short-term debt cycles, you know, short-term debt cycles last 5 to 8 years. And with the shortest one lasting 3 and the longest one lasting 10, but normally it's 5 to 8. So then if you know that there's 4 quarters in a short-term debt cycle, you can estimate how long you think each quarter is going to last. So in 2020, we had home prices are low, interest rates are low, money is cheap to borrow. And then with money being cheap to borrow, more and more people want to go get money, right? And so more and more people are able to access this, which means more and more people are able to make offers on homes. And when more people do that, the price goes up because now, well, I'll offer 5% more. I'll offer 10% more. I'll offer 20% more. So then this is what happens next. You have home prices that are high and money that's cheap to borrow. But then when we get inflation in the market, then the inflation rate gets raised by the Fed because too many people are doing too much buying and that's causing inflation. So then the rate gets raised. So now we have home values that are high and money that's expensive to borrow. Well, then with less people able to borrow money and less people able to participate in the consumerism of the economy, less people are buying. So then what happens? Home prices begin to fall. And that is where we are in the market. So then when home values fall and inflation becomes under control, then what happens? Then the inflation rate drops, the interest rate drops, and money becomes cheap to borrow again. So this is the perfect place to buy. Money's cheap to borrow, home values are inexpensive. This is the place to refi. When you have a lot of equity in your home, but you have low interest rates, you want to unlock that liquidity, especially if you're going to hold the loan long term. And you want to use that equity to then buy here. So the next stage in the process is here. Home values are high, money is expensive to borrow. You can still refi right here. And a lot of my clients are doing that right now, even as values drop, because they want to unlock that equity. Now, the unfortunate thing is you have a terrible interest rate. So you want to have the plan to refinance when this happens, because you don't want to hold this loan for 30 years. It's too expensive, right? So yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take for that inflation to come down? Why home prices are going down?
Well, see, that's always the magic crystal ball that no one can predict. But if you look at 2020 lasted a year, 2021 lasted a year, we're here, and then we're starting to see this happen. So I would imagine if the short-term debt cycle is 5 to 8 years, this is probably going to happen for the next 12 to 18 months. And then this will happen in probably say 18 to 36 months.
So 2025, 2026.
That's my estimation, but don't hold me to it. Obviously,
oh, you're fine.
Advisor, but
I appreciate the fact that you're even throwing it out there. I mean, you know, a lot of people are afraid to, you know, say those things. I mean, I think it's going to be difficult for the next 2 years. I mean, I think it's going to be something that most people are, you know, a little bit scared, a little bit more fearful, and the more experienced people that have been through stuff like this, that always are purchasing real estate, that's just what they do. Even if it's on a passive level, they're going to be doing it because they know that it's a great investment one way or the other. It might not be as good as something else right now, but it's always over the long term going to be a fantastic investment, and you're going to build equity and be able to take that equity out at some point in time.
Well, and the fascinating thing too is not only are you building equity, someone else is paying for your retirement because they are the renter. And there's nothing wrong with being a landlord and a renter. I was a renter at a point in my life when I needed to be a renter. So it's not like you're taking away housing from someone else. You're giving someone the capability to build a bridge to when they can own a home, right? So you're offering a service as a landlord, and someone else then is paying your own retirement. So if you compare real estate investing to 401k, yeah, they'll match, but real estate investing, you don't have to put any money in except for the down payment, and somebody pays for the whole thing. And then in 30 years, it's completely paid for. You can either sell it, cash it out, whatever you want to do.
That's exactly right. And even if you're just breaking even, you're still building equity every 30 days, no matter what. And
Correct.
even if you aren't breaking even, let's say that you're losing money sometimes in real estate, like stick in there, stay with it. I mean, just because you're not putting money in the bank doesn't mean that you're not building equity. Like you can
Right.
still build equity in a piece of real estate for a period of time, even if you aren't making any money in it. So, I mean, anybody listening, like stick with it, find a partner, do anything you can to hold on to that piece of real estate because eventually it will pay off if you can.
And the thing about my loans is it allows you're closing in an LLC, so you can have as many partners as you want. So if you find a partner who wants to give the down payment but doesn't want to be involved, that
Yep.
could be a 2-partner LLC. You can find a group of friends and do a 4-partner LLC.
Yep.
And two, say you're doing the BRRRR method, so you find a fixer upper, you buy it, you get the renovation done. You can cash the equity out at the end tax free. So you
Yep.
do not pay money on that. You don't pay taxes on that money because it's in the form of a loan. So you then take that money and put it in the next property, and that's how you roll up quickly.
Yep, I agree, and it's so important to understand. And what you were just talking about, if it's in an LLC, you can partner with just about anybody, and it's easy to have partners come in and out. Partner with people, like it's much better to be partnering with somebody in real estate, I believe, at the very beginning because it'll help you weather storms. It will enable you to be able to slice up the deal all kinds of different ways, and excuse me, it's just more fun with people. It's just more fun with others. I believe, and you can have a smaller piece of a bigger pie, if you do that way. So, well, Bridget,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on the Daily Ledger podcast. Thank you so much for all the information that you shared. What is the best way for people to follow you or stay in touch with you?
On Instagram, I'm Bridget, BRIDGET_BRIX. My website is Truust Capital. That's TRUUST. So we have 2 U's, capital.com. And my Facebook also, I have a huge following there. I'm also Bridget Brick's Loans.
Awesome. That is incredible. We'll put that down in the comments as well. So give Bridget a follow and go see her on Facebook and on our website and on Instagram. And Bridget, thank you so much for taking the time to be here on the Daily Ledger podcast and all the great information that you shared. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.